The Boston Bruins disappoint in Game 1 in a loss against the Florida Panthers. Now, the main story of this game was Joonas Korpisalo, as him and this team did not play up to expectations, and this is going to be very interesting for the development of Korpisalo for the rest of the season, and Swayman's eligibility was questioned in this game if he could have came in. I'm going to be talking about all of the stuff that came out here. Jim Montgomery speaking out on Joonas Korpisalo, his play, as well as the team, and why Jeremy Swayman was not in this game. We're going to be talking about all that here in this video. Before we do, though, 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join me here on the channel as we cover everything Boston Bruins related. The season is underway now, and we are going to have a lot of news, especially if we see this Boston Bruins team continuing to play like this, and many changes are imminent. But that's not the deal for today. We're going to be talking about this game that we had last night. This was definitely an interesting one, and they disappointed in this game. Now, in the 6-4 loss, it was 6-2. Let's get let's be honest with this. The 2 goals at the end of the game, very lucky. Florida was just going on heavy defense, and they were 2 pretty good bounces for the Bruins in their direction to get that game close. Now, when you're looking at this game, a 6-4 game, you score 4 goals, you should not lose. Really leading this to Joonas Korpisalo and this defense. Many people were questioning their eligibility. How did they play? Why did Jeremy Swayman not get in this game? I will be talking about that later, but right now, Joonas Korpisalo is the main thing. Jim Montgomery has said that this is not on Joonas Korpisalo. The defense in front of him also had a big impact on this game, leading them to not make this happen, to not get this win. And really, Joonas Korpisalo is the one that we're going to be talking about right now. One that we're questioning. Is he ready for this backup role? Is he ready to be the tandem with Jeremy Swayman, or do we have to go elsewhere and find a different goalie? That's what we're talking about right now. Jim Montgomery has spoken out on the subject in the post-game press conference, discussing Joonas Korpisalo's game, the defense as well. And this is what he had to say about the whole situation. Korpisalo was not a problem tonight. It was people in front of him. You can't give up 4 backdoor tap-ins and expect your goalie to make a save after save. This is exactly correct. Jim Montgomery here really spoke out, discussing that, this is not fully on Joonas Korpisalo. And I'll be the first to say, it's not all on him, but there is certainly a big part of this game that Joonas Korpisalo should have had a much better result in. And a lot of that was a few of the goals that went in, a few weak ones, a few bad bounces, of course, but as a goalie, and looking at this is what we've always been told, is that the goalie makes the first save, the defense gets the rebound out of there. The goalie can make 2 or 3 or 4 saves back to back to back to back. However, the defense's job is once a shot is gone, the rebound is out, the defense get it out. And that is not what we've seen in this game from the Bruins defense. The rebound control was not ultimately there from Joonas Korpisalo in this game, but the defense also did not help him out in any way. Now, a lot of this game was first game jitters and everything. The Florida Panthers were having their banner raising ceremony. You know that place was going to be wild. And you know they weren't losing on that night. And the chemistry for the Boston Bruins still is not there yet with all the new additions, the new goaltending, and also the game time decision from what the fan standpoint was for this game, and Joonas Korpisalo coming in and getting this game here. And now looking at it as well from the stats, or I should say, I'll discuss this one first with Michael Sullivan. Looking at a new goalie in a new system, behind a new defense and a new structure, one game does not define a goalie, but tonight, yikes. That is exactly the way we're kind of looking at this as well. This is the way that we've kind of seen this team over this preseason, and now especially in the regular season, we're kind of getting into these full NHL lineups of opponents, and the chemistry just wasn't there yet. So that really does go in point with the play of the team, not helping out Korpisalo and everything as well, which is gonna come, and I'm expecting our game October 14th, Monday night against the Florida Panthers, once again in Boston, that this team will really have kind of a new outlook and a new structure of the way that we're going to be playing this game. And I'm sure the Panthers are going to adjust to this change, but I'm excited to see how the Panthers, or the Bruins, change to the Panthers change. And it's going to be a very telltale of what the season will look like in that game in specific, while we do have the LA Kings and Montreal Canadiens in the next 2 games as well. But looking at Korpisalo's stats here in this game, 35 shots against, 29 saves, 6 goals against. Quite a heavy game for Korpisalo with 35 shots against. You don't expect him to make all of them, but 29 saves is ultimately not the most ideal. he made many good saves and many saves that we see the potential that he will have later on in the season when goalie coach Bob Esposito really gets a hold of him and kind of develops him the way that we've seen the Bruins goaltenders over the past couple years. And that's going to be a big part of it as well, because we cannot afford to have a backup goalie in Joonas Korpisalo not be ready for games that Jeremy Swayman cannot play, knowing that he's going to have majority of the loads of games in this season. And that's one thing I think the Bruins are really going to keep a close eye on over the next few games, is how the goaltending is going to work out with Jeremy Swayman playing what could be probably 3, 4, or even 5 games in a row before we see another appearance from Joonas Korpisalo. So when you're looking at these stats right now, obviously it don't look good, but this will progress and will get better throughout the season. And a 627 goals against average and an 829 save percentage obviously is nothing ideal and not at all what you want to see here in this game. But as I mentioned, the Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champions, coming off this, having the cup in the building for them, they were going to play good regardless, and the Bruins just were not there tonight, did not show up. The bear was still hibernating. But ultimately, there's a lot of stuff that we can kind of take away from this in a positive note on the goaltending. And as I mentioned, it was the big saves from Korpisalo. It really is just a matter of that, cleaning up some of the stuff and not really having any of the bad bounces that we've seen here tonight in this game. But as we move on to this as well, this one comes from Luke Wells. Joonas Korpisalo gave up 5+ goals for the 9 times in his 49 starts with the Ottawa Senators. That was 18.37% of the games that he played. He picked up right where he left off. This is the first time the Bruins have given up 5 goals in their season opener since losing 7-0 to the Capitals to kick off the 2018 season. But this is a Joonas Korpisalo thing. This has nothing to do with the Bruins in my mind, but just goes to show the Ottawa Senators were not good last year. A lot of this was Korpisalo having that no-help kind of defense, the same way we've seen it tonight with the Bruins. So that's what I'm taking out of this game, knowing that we're going to get better. It's just that Korpisalo kind of had a shade of the Ottawa Senators type of defense from this game as he did last year. So once that cleans up and we get to our actual Boston Bruins defense, the one that we know, the one that we love, the big, solid defense that nobody gets past, we're going to see a much better Joonas Korpisalo from that standpoint on the defensive side of things. And also, once Joonas Korpisalo kind of gets under his feet again and develops this Boston Bruins goalie style, we're going to be good on that side. So that's nothing to worry about right now. But as we move on to our third topic as well, many people were questioning, why was there no Jeremy Swayman in this game? And I was also one of the people questioning this. I didn't really understand why, after the second period at least, even the first, after it was going 4-1 going into the first period for the Florida Panthers, I, in my mind, thought Jeremy Swayman was going to come into this game. Jim Montgomery was going to give him that first preseason game, as he did not play any, was with Boston University, but did not have any actual NHL competition there helping him out. So this game was kind of a wash at this point. I didn't want to say that because the game did end 6-4, another very good goal, but then 2 very lucky bounces going the Bruins' way, to be frankly honest. And if we had Swayman in this game, maybe we would have won. Maybe Jeremy Swayman could have made those extra saves, given him that extra game before we head into Montreal on Thursday, where he will be starting that game, and kind of just give him a bit of game action, because the Bruins on Wednesday are not practicing, and that's one thing that we know. The Bruins are not going to be practicing. The Bruins are not going to be out on the ice at all. So we will see Swayman. We won't see the team, but still, I would like to see Jeremy Swayman get as much practice action at least before we see him in a full game. And as Pete Blackburn says here, put Swayman in. I've seen enough of this. This was kind of the whole thing I was seeing on Twitter. Everything that I was seeing was really, why no Swayman? Sure, even the Panthers fans wanted Swayman in the net. They were chanting, we want Swayman. Obviously, would not have been a good result because Swayman would have made the saves. Game would have been tied. We would have won. However, I don't know, that might be a bit optimistic, but the Bruins did have a lot of opportunity to put Swayman in. Still very questionable why they didn't. I'm sure Jim Montgomery may speak about this probably at some point. You know, I'm not really sure when or if at all, but there is definitely some reason that he wasn't in, and I think that Jeremy Swayman could have had a great opportunity to go in here. And obviously, with this, there's not much that any goalie could have done. This whole outlook on the game, and I'll show this on the big one here. The hockey stat card for this, a lot of negative and a lot of defensive breakdowns. So even if Jeremy Swayman was in this game, it may not have been a result that we wanted. Still may have been the same result, but I think that once Jeremy Swayman gets back into this game, the Bruins will look like the big bad Bruins that we know, the one that we love, and the one that we've all expected to start this season. So let me know what you think about Joonas Korpisalo in this game. What do you think about Jim Montgomery, how he said that it really wasn't on Joonas Korpisalo? I still think it kind of was, but I think a lot of this was to do with the defense as well. So let me know what you think, but I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.